Alright. So, East 1. Just gotta wait for the countdown so we can
Just go,
actually
man.
start.
Just go.
Just go, alright. I'm doing here waiting for a countdown. Alright. This is East 1 in canonical order, the second, in release order, the first of the East games. I am Ragnano, or Ragnano, however you want to pronounce it. And we're gonna start the run by just skipping through text, like in pretty much any East game.
Yeah. So, one thing, well, I guess we'll explain it later. So the one thing that makes S1 and 2 different from the other S games that we'll be seeing today is that they have a bump system for combat, which means that there's no attack button, and this one there's no magic either, so the only way to damage enemies is to run straight into them, like bumper cars. So the trick to that is that if you basically hit an enemy head-on, you both get hit. But if you hit him from the side or the back, you won't get hit. Another thing is if you hit him sort of offset, like shoulder to shoulder, you won't hit him either. And so that's going to be very useful.
Alright, so first off, we're gonna run into this town. It's called Minea Town. And we're gonna go into the shop there and pick up a couple items. By a couple, I mean one, because we don't really have the money for all that many more. We're gonna pick up a wing that allows us to just teleport back to Minea whenever we want. Except out of boss fights. But we're not exactly gonna be doing that.
Right, so you're doing level 6, right? I assume.
On first boss, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm doing level 2 on 35 HP.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is gonna go well.
Okay. So basically, for this first boss here, you have a couple of options. Either you do no grinding or a bit of grinding, which involves just doing an extra side quest. With no grinding, you say like level 2 or level 1, depending whether or not you want a bit more HP. And the boss at level 2 is much harder. In fact, I'd say Janacres is probably the hardest boss in the game, funnily enough, even though he's the first, just because of how ridiculous it is at low levels. And you can just get hit without not much you can do about it.
No, I don't want to buy more yet. I'm trash at menuing, sadly. Because I am playing on a pad instead of keyboard, whereas a keyboard would probably be the better option for actually running the game. Problem is, I got a new keyboard, which means I'm not exactly used to it. So I would rather not run this on a keyboard I am completely unused to.
Oh, you don't have to talk to the second guy. Funnily enough.
I just picked this up along the ride, so it's hard to forget bad habits.
Yeah, the one advantage to pad would be analog movement, or 360 movement instead of just 8 directional. That's like the one advantage. It's like slightly
Yeah,
more
that is
precise.
the one advantage. There are some parts where that can disadvantage you, like, funnily enough, on the first boss.
Yeah, I can see that.
Where you can, in my opinion at least, go at an angle that you need to go. That we'll see that during the boss fight though, because we're going to need to avoid fire flames.
Yeah.
Fire streams.
So basically, you have to get your first set of equipment to be able to talk to her, and she gives you a crystal, and with that crystal you can talk to someone else to enter the first dungeon. Lots of fetch questing, basically. So now we're gonna go to the first dungeon here. on the overload, you almost always want to avoid enemies. We're gonna have to grind at some point. Unlike other IS games, I think every other IS game, this game has a level cap at like level 10, which is pretty low, so you actually end up reaching the level cap. In fact, you have to reach the level cap to be able to damage one of the bosses.
Yes. Which takes actually quite a bit of grinding, at least time-wise, even with grinding strats.
Yeah. But unlike other IS games, we're not gonna like do continuous grinding so much. So this is the first dungeon. And you immediately go to the boss, so...
Since we are doing a marathon, I'd rather go for safety saves instead of just doing absolutely nothing, because this boss is brutal.
Yeah, so the trick with this boss is that you have to hit him when he spawns, and you want to avoid the flames. And you really don't want to get hit, because you only have like 6 hits to spare or whatever. Able to.
Yes, you have 6 hits to spare. On the 7th hit, you're toast.
Yeah, and so you can try to sort of manipulate where he spawns, because he's always going to spawn away from you. So you can sort of like stay down and then move up. But it's a very tricky boss for sure, and the flames get faster once you get to the later parts of the fight. I think once he has less than 50% HP.
It's gonna be tricky. I lost 10 HP. I might have to restart this if I'm unlucky during the second part, where the flames do speed up and actually stand a bit further. He just body blocked me into the flames. I hate it when he does that. That can cost you anywhere from 1 to 3 hits.
Yeah, because in this game there's no like hit stun, really. If you get hit once, you're vulnerable immediately. As soon as like the sound is over.
Yeah, there's no invulnerability frames.
I mean, there's like a few, but it's like as soon as you get hit,
yeah,
once
but
the sound is over,
yeah, it's minimal, very minimal. You have to go at a pretty close to 45-degree angle at a specific point in the boss room at a specific time to avoid getting hit by the flames, and I just died. I did not expect, to be honest, no death run on the first boss, because he is brutal.
Yeah, even I'm like, I don't know. I think I only get 2 out of 3 runs going. And you can do it at level 1 with only like 2 hits to spare. That's pretty fun.
Actually, start with 20 HP, so you have 3 hits.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, actually insane.
Yeah, you gain a bit of time because you don't have to get.
Yeah, you don't have to get the sapphire ring. Yeah. The little quest where I went into the bar to talk to the 3 guys. I'm just missing hits.
There's also a save stat when you can do side quests to rescue looted gem and beat him very easily, but it's about 2 minutes slower.
Yeah. At this point, at that point where I lose those 2 minutes, I can easily just die once, start the fight over, and still have lost basically no time.
Yeah.
And if you do grinding afterwards, you lose even more time. Well, you still make up some time on the boss fight. I just took 2 hits stupidly. You still make up time on the boss fight, but you lose a lot of time during the grinding. Oh, this looks unlikely. Oh, I made it through 1 time. Let's see if I can do it another couple times. Nope. The hitboxes on this fight aren't exactly forgiving either, especially because the boss's hitbox disappears a little sooner than the boss actually disappears. It's a couple frames, but it does make a difference if you're actually relying on him to bump you backwards when you're hitting him. That could have bumped me back actually there. If I was a little unlucky. It's still better for the first boss to be the run killer of the game than it to be the second to last.
I mean,
Which, admittedly, in this boss, the second to last boss can be a run killer if you do the really fast strats. But those are definitely even less marathon safe than doing this at
I
level
don't know.
2.
It's a question of like familiarity. I think armorless Dorm is easier. Because the thing with this guy is that the flame
I can't
patterns
get
are
the
random.
movement up. Yeah, with the second to last boss, you. I whiffed that seriously.
Yeah, we'll see when
Anyway.
you get there though.
There we go. Yeah, it's. Well, both bosses have tight execution, so.
Yeah, they're like are in their own way like OGG by
Yeah.
the way. See, the reason Gen Increase is hard is that he's quite random and that like you should have to try and affect
Yeah,
his
it's just
spawns.
completely random.
But one boss later,
Apart from the apart from the obvious manipulation for which side of the screen you're on.
yeah, even then it's hard because ideally you want to sort of already be moving up, so you want to kind of jerk him, and then right before he spawns, you want to move towards him because you know he's
Where am I
already
going?
gonna.
Where
spawn
am I
there.
going? I hate this fucking. Sorry. I hate this dungeon honestly because
It is pretty confusing.
it's
though.
just confusing.
It's designed to be confusing as well. It's the best part.
Yeah. In a later part of the dungeon, and I just got a pop-up. That's great. In a later part of the dungeon, there's also invisible walls, or other walls that you have to put on a mask to see.
Alright.
That they are invisible.
Aren't you supposed to get that chest there?
Ah, God. I am getting the heebie-jeebies.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm messing it all up. Mommy, I'm sorry. I bring disgrace.
Yeah, so this
Well,
is
I wouldn't
few items.
notice as soon as I got the cell.
So I think you could go to the lower depths of the dungeon, but you're doing early Silver Sword,
But
right?
it's not really. I'm doing what? Did you
You're
say?
doing a Silver Sword first, right? I assume.
Yeah, I'm going Silver Sword before doing the next
Yeah, right.
boss.
So basically, we're just gonna make a detour and get some items we're supposed to do after doing this dungeon, before coming back here, so that we're even more powerful and the dungeon's easier. Ends up being faster. So here, I think you're gonna try to do the XP glitch with Fina. You can talk to her twice and thus get twice the XP for talking to her. There's in different versions.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, if you don't get it, it's fine. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. You want to kind of kill some enemies along the way so that you can deal with the mines
Yeah.
better.
The problem with escorting her, I am an absolute idiot. I didn't save. Should I reload from the boss or reload from another save that is basically the same?
Just reload from a save that's the same, I guess. Just for the sake of time.
It is literally right after the same boss on the same. This is a total mess. I am so
It's-
sorry.
It happens, it happens.
First time on a marathon. This is just. Everything is going wrong. Everything that could possibly go wrong.
You just keep checking on it though.
I gotta say, the shrine is also a place that gives me a lot of problems, at least that first visit. That and
Yeah.
the Ragnano are pretty much only things I'm worried about when I run.
My mind is telling me to give excuses, but I'm just sitting here like no one wants to hear them.
Yeah, so basically, you need the prison key to open Fina's door, and you need the other key to open the chest in the mine, which you're going to be going to shortly after this.
This time making a save. For once. You don't kill me, please.
Yeah, technically you can save pretty quickly in this game. There's like a few areas where you
Yeah.
pretty much have to save very frequently to not get hit. Like there you couldn't do much to not get hit by that guy. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem because most of my practice revolved bosses and specific movements instead of complete runs with safety strats. Alright, so what I was trying to explain earlier before I died in a hilarious way, totally not hilarious sadly, was the issue with escorting Fina here. She will follow you up until a certain point, where she will just kind of get lost and wander around.
Right.
Which basically makes you unable to leave the area and has you search her out and have her escort you again, or have you escort her again, rather. It's exactly like this.
Yeah, see there, like, she always traces a direct line between her and yourself. So if that direct line passes through a wall, she'll get stuck. She isn't smart enough to think that she has to go through the door right next to her.
But I'm getting a ring that allows me to take less damage. I think it was half damage to shield ring, right?
I think that's the case, yeah.
I think it's half damage. Alright, we're just escorting her back to the village. We talk to the old lady. Again, gotta keep in mind the distance between me and her whenever I go off screen to a new area. So I don't get an annoying pop-up saying, oh yeah, I have to go back and search for her.
So one other like tricky thing that may be hard to remember is remembering when to talk to Jiba and Fina, because you have to talk to them a couple of times throughout the run, but it's not necessarily logical when you have to do so.
It really isn't. And even if you miss a time when you are supposed to talk to them, you basically just exit the village and re-enter the village. Right, this mine is a place where you, in a run at least, have to do a lot of saving because
mine's tricky.
You're not supposed to be here yet. At all.
Yeah, there's just a lot of enemies everywhere, and it's very easy to get ambushed.
And yes, and they hurt a lot, and you don't see the whole screen.
Yeah, at some point you get a feel for where they spawn, and you can sort of know when you have to be ready to be able to dodge. Because their spawns aren't fixed as well, they're just based on it.
But yeah, they're always in the same general area.
Yeah, but it's sort of like probabilistic in the sense that they can be really far away, but it's just very unlikely.
All right. So what we want to do in this mine is we want to get 2 items to get a little too OP weapon for this point in the game.
Yeah, it's an item you have to get later, but they expect you to do the first dungeon we went in before doing that. And then
alright, I should have the wing before this. Could have shown up a nice little trick.
Right.
Where you teleport before you actually open the chests. You still get the item that was in the chest, but you do teleport 2 minutes.
Yeah, you basically cancel the item collection animation with the teleport, which allows you to...
Alright.
Also with the swing skip, you have to be careful not to use it too early. I used it a couple times too early.
Yes.
It especially sucks.
Are you not talking to...
No, I do that after I teleport back for the silver sword.
Yeah,
or right after getting the silver sword, I mean.
Don't you have to talk to her to...
Oh, damn. God damn it. I always forget this literally every run. Because it's so out of the way. This is a mess.
It's all good.
Why am I doing this? Now you say that. I'm good. The problem is I'm going on my own nerve at this point. Alright. Hello. Alright, usually at this point we would be getting a nice background video, but since those are turned off, and even if they weren't, I would just skip them. So I get some extra healing from standing there, which you wouldn't get while the video is running. We don't get to see that.
Right.
It basically just shows us the next place we're supposed to go to get our new sword.
Yeah. So the silver sword is an item you're supposed to get before going into the mines, I guess. But we sort of did things out of order.
Before the mines.
No,
yes.
You're supposed to after the second
like you're supposed to
dungeon,
go into the mines, right? And then
get the
get
silver
your
sword
items.
and then go back in. Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, we're just getting the
Alright, so-
silver sword before we're really supposed to do it, which allows us to
Yes,
beat the second boss much faster.
So what we just did on the bridge was give the harmonica that we picked up on the like in the mines to the girl there. She played it for us, and now we can eat a magical fruit in front of a tree, and the tree will give us a sword. Just the typical RPG stuff, I mean.
Your Dark Fact on easy is kind of like the Ragnano move, funnily enough. You just move in a certain way. And you can kill him on like his second bounce, if you're really good.
Alright. So what I generally don't do on my first visit to the town after coming, escorting the girl. Or I am not, because I don't actually... Or because I actually messed up the routing. Because I wasn't supposed to use the wingway yet.
Yeah, you're supposed to...
Because I'm an idiot.
You're supposed to do it after beating Nuclear.
Yes, since I already messed up my time so bad, I can just kill an enemy and pick up a new one. I don't think at this point it's about a PB anymore, or even a marathon best, or anything in that matter.
Just keep checking on. That's all that matters, really.
Alright, now that we got the silver sword, what I was supposed to do was just walk the way back up here. And go back to the temple, while in between hitting some triggers, which would be not going there yet, but going up into the house of the old lady. Talking to these.
She's not there yet.
Or something like that. This is what happens when you don't... when school starts up in the middle of preparing. This is why real life kind of sucks. Alright, now instead of going straight down to the second basement floor, getting some items and leaving again, what we do is we progress further, this time at least.
Yeah. So what the game expected you to do was to rescue Fina, leave, and then re-enter the shrine. But instead we took a little detour and got some items we weren't supposed to get immediately, which allows us to basically destroy everything in here, including the boss.
Yes.
So basically just need a few keys to open stuff in this place. It's about as close to a puzzle you're gonna get, besides the mirror room later on.
Alright, first I'm getting this, at least in armor matters, I'm getting the silver shield. Which allows me to complete the silver set, together with the silver sword that we got from the tree, and the silver armor that I got from the mines. Oh, my telephone back.
Yeah, you need all 3 of the pieces of silver armor to progress the story at some point. I don't remember where exactly, but yeah, they aren't optional. Basically.
Since I'm going for safe strats, I'm getting a heal potion. And here we're putting on the Mask of Eyes, so I can actually go through this wall.
Yeah, the Mask of Eyes lets you walk through certain walls. At the expense of not being able to see anything else.
Yes. Yep, a second key here. You actually need 2 keys to progress to the boss. Which means you have to figure out that you can walk through that wall sooner or later. Still gonna safety save, even though this boss is really easy.
Yeah, there's like one thing that can happen is he can pin you.
Yeah, he can stun lock you. But with what's been happening this run, I don't think any safe thing is actually safe.
Alright. So basically, with the silver sword, you do a lot of damage, and even then, the boss is very easy because he can only hit you by directly attacking with his head. So basically, it's a lot easier to hit him than it is for him to hit you.
Yes. Alright, now I'm supposed to go back to this lady, but only to find out that she has been murdered.
Oh yeah, make sure to buy a wing as well. And a mirror.
Yes.
Basically, every time we come back to town, we want to buy a wing, just so that next time we can teleport back to here. Because that's the quickest way to get out of dungeons, obviously.
Yes.
So now it's time to tackle the mines again. This time we're going to go all the way to the depths. So before the next boss, Ragnano, we actually have to grind to level 10, regardless of whether or not we want to. Because you just can't do any damage to him otherwise. And level 10 is the level cap, so once we're done grinding here, we'll be done with all the grinding for the rest of the game.
Luckily, yeah.
Yeah, starting in S2, they introduced a level cap that was much, much higher. So, and they didn't expect you to actually reach the level cap. So, we're going to be grinding on basically a set of spawning enemies on one of the later floors here. There's some RNG in their initial spawns, and sometimes they don't spawn too well. So this mine's area is probably one of the biggest samples of RNG in this run, otherwise this run doesn't really have that much.
Now this place is the reason I packed an extra health potion in the temple.
Yeah, it's very easy to get hit here because
yeah,
to kill stuff you want to hit them shoulder to shoulder, but if you're just slightly off, you're going to hit them head on, and which means you're both going to take a hit. Which is what makes the bump system very difficult, is that attacking
it can be very finicky.
Attacking always has a risk associated with it, because you're taking the risk of taking damage if you're attacking. So you need to be very precise with your angles.
The plus side, and you'll mostly find that out when you're playing casually, is you can run people into walls. I'm just gonna pick the second heal potion up here, so I can heal up before the next boss fight in case something goes wrong during leveling.
I don't think you have more than one, though. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I use this one now. Alright. Basically, what I'm gonna do for leveling, after I actually kill the enemies that spawn, because I need to have them reset at their, well, at what I hope will be their spawn points. It's still somewhat
See, that guy was like,
somewhat
really far
random,
away,
but
which is
yeah, they can
something
sometimes spawn pretty far away, but I'm just hoping that that's not gonna happen.
So once you're aligned, it goes pretty smoothly.
Yeah, unless they just decide to spawn somewhere completely else, like this guy up here just did twice. Come on. There we go. I also use my keyboard for this instead of my pad, because it's somewhat hard to do this on a D-pad without pressing one of the side buttons accidentally, and you know, with the analog stick, it's just impossible. At least if you have a direction movement off, aka 360-degree movement on.
Yeah, if you can't use an analog stick to do this. At least not without losing time, because you're gonna have to basically hit one of the walls each time to realign. And even then, a slight drift could make you run straight into the enemy.
Yeah. Basically, if you just run past the wall to align yourself, it's gonna put you straight onto a path head on to the enemy. But if you press yourself directly up against one of these two ridges here, it's gonna align you in a way that you're never actually head on with the enemy.
Right.
Now, as you can see, this is taking a while because you're actually doing all of the leveling from last boss out to the end of the game here.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, I don't like the mine segment ever. It's all, I've learned to love the first one because it's just really fun, because it's sort of exhilarating, because it's very risky and...
Oh look, a chest. Too bad. Too bad.
The way this box works is,
Alright, so the way this boss works is, Vagolian here, spawns as a set of bats that each hit you for a small amount of chip damage if you touch them. Problem is, there's a lot of them, and especially when they're grouped up, they deal a lot of damage together.
right, so basically...
Now, what do you want?
Every time you jerk them, they group up, but when they group up, they don't necessarily form into Vagolian himself. But after the third group up, they will always form. Another thing that can happen is if you hit him too early, you end up making him invincible for that round.
Yeah, he has a very weird invulnerability frame system. I don't even have any idea how to describe it, honestly. Like, you could see just right there how I kind of phase through him while I'm hitting him.
Yeah, because I think it's like he's invincible when he's in the bad form, and the game assigns a hitbox to him before they assign the not invulnerable condition to him. So if you hit him when he's invulnerable, he's gonna stay that way.
All right, now is the first time we're leaving town without a wing, because we don't actually need to return here because we're spending the rest of the game in Darm Tower.
Yeah, Darm Tower is like the final dungeon, and it's also half the run, more or less.
Yeah.
From the fun aspect, and in this too, the final dungeon's like half the run as well. It's lots of fun.
I don't run past the bridge. Now, when we were going to the temple, what you might have noticed is that there's a lot of space off to the left and right. Now, to the right, there's actually a further area that leads us to Dumb Tower. So after hitting a couple triggers by talking to people, we can actually go there and have people not be jerks while they talk to us. We're gonna have old lady Yeba here, or Jiva, however you want to pronounce it. We're gonna have her read these books of East to us that we collected from the bosses. I do believe we have to talk to her and Fina one last time. We're in here together. Maybe actually talk to the right person, because this is kind of an awkward setting for the characters to be in. I don't want to talk to the chest, I want to talk to this guy. Alright, this guy tells us to follow us to Dom Tower because we want to go in there. And this guy is the reason, well, alongside the final boss, why we want the silver armor. He kind of hurts otherwise. I mean, the final boss. This guy wouldn't even let us pass through without it. Now what I'm doing here is picking up some items that we want and need. One healing potion, which is, you know, just a goodie. And an evil ring, which we do need to progress through the game. Now, Dam Tower is also a sort of maze, just on a way bigger scale.
Sort of. It's pretty much like, it's the most complicated dungeon in the game by far. It has a ton of floors.
Yeah, at some point you're, at least in this run, I don't know if, are you required to backtrack?
Yeah, you're required to backtrack.
No? In normal run?
Yeah, because you have to talk to the guy. Right? The way we're doing the speedrun is the way you're expected to do it casually, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, one other thing is that these balconies here, there's actually an optimal direction for every balcony. It's either left or right. So that's one thing you can do to save like 10 seconds, is memorizing the optimal directions on every balcony.
Yeah. Alright. So, we're letting us get captured here because we do not have the item yet to actually pass this. Now we do the waiting strats. To wait for our God and Savior. Waiting for our God and Savior. And it talk to us. He takes his sweet time.
You have to talk to both the bars and the guy.
God damn it. Come on. There he is. Meet Dogi. Alright. We've been asked by Dogi to give an idol to an old man. Also, we've been robbed of our silver equipment, so I'm gonna equip our old stuff for now. So I don't like running around naked. I don't think if it's I don't know if there's any actual benefits. I think you take a couple points less of damage off enemies if you accidentally bump into them, but
I don't even think it matters.
I
don't know.
It doesn't really matter, but alright, here we're supposed to put on this mask and talk to this guy. He has a lot of dialogue, and I mean a lot.
So, speaking of dialogue, one thing we didn't mention is the other versions of this one that are somewhat similar to this, but still quite different. That would be Complete and Japanese Chronicles. So Japanese Chronicles is, well, at the moment sort of estimated to be the fastest version, though in practice Complete has been the fastest. And there's just like a few small differences here and there between the two versions. The main ones being that Complete and Chronicles are in Japanese, which saves some time on text.
Alright, so what this old man just gave us, the blue necklace, allows us to bypass that particular trap that we got caught by. And it allows us to wear the evil ring without getting instantly killed. Which will come in handy a little later. See, now we can bypass this trap. If we didn't put on the ring, we'd get, not the ring, the necklace, we would get teleported into another cell, had to wait for Dogi to break us out again and walk up again. Alright, I do want my sword back. Kind of hard to actually damage enemies without that, or especially bosses. These guys are still easy-ish with the normal sword, but long sword rather.
Right, so you have to get at least a servo sword. That's the only item that you actually have to get, because otherwise you can't damage Dark Fact. Even though there is going to be a better sword than the servo sword in this dungeon, you still need servo sword for the last boss. And I think you're gonna get the other pieces of our equipment, right? Are you gonna get silver or battle?
Yeah, I am. I'm getting the silver equipment. Not getting the battle equipment.
Yeah, so the battle equipment is
obviously
like
getting the
better,
flame sword, but
yeah,
it's better, but it's not needed, and it takes longer to get.
Yeah, so this is Pictomos. All the bosses in Dark are pretty simple, if you know what to do, really. So this guy, he throws stuff at you, and then you basically sort of circle around him to manipulate the way he throws his sides. If you get hit by all three of them, you're pretty much close to dead, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. So you gotta be really careful to not get hit by him. Again, a reason why I safety save on this boss. He can be really, really brutal.
Oh, yeah, the reason you get the silver sword is... Kurzik is right, you don't have to have it, but it does the most damage to Dark Fact. And all the other swords do much less. That is true.
Alright. I am getting a silver shield here. Because I do not want to fight the last bosses without my good armor.
Armorless is like something you can do. The main boss that's tricky is the one before the last boss. Last boss can be tricky as well, but I his pattern is much easier.
Yeah, if you can't consistently quick kill him, he can be a big problem.
Yeah.
God damn it. Probably actually do the thing I'm supposed to do. Better forget it. Better remember it early than remembering it right when you need it.
Yeah, so you need to break one of those pipes to stop music.
Yeah, the Devil's Corridor, I think it's called. This room right here.
Yeah.
It's also present in East Origins. It has a little different form there, especially it's longer and spirals up.
Yeah, Israel just takes place in the same tower
still...
here, basically.
Yes. In this big room, you'd get... No, not this big room. Was it in this big room that you get the battle armor, I think it is from?
I don't know where to get the battle armor, actually. I only ever...
I'm not sure if it's battle. Yeah, I never pick it up. I just sort of remember that from my casual run.
So here we're gonna get to the next boss, which if you're at low HP can actually be pretty nerve-wracking. But basically, the way you're supposed to do it is sort of... Well, I guess it makes more sense once you see the boss. The way you're supposed to do it is running around in a circle, which makes you take the least amount of damage. But the way we do it is just sort of try to do more damage than we take. That's the way we do it.
Yeah. That was actually kind of suboptimal. Usually I don't take as much damage as that. Kind of messed up my circling there. Kind of easy to mess it up when you're on a pad, honestly.
But yeah, that probably is... That's one of my favorite bosses. All the bosses are fun, but that one's just fun to do.
Yeah, it's just... You just dance. Alright, now we're coming to what is probably the closest thing to an actual puzzle in this game, which is the mirror room.
Yeah, the way it's supposed to work is that if you move in a circle in the direction of the rocks, like clockwise or counterclockwise, you're gonna take less damage than if you move in the opposite direction. So you're supposed to basically follow the direction of the rocks as they spin. That's the idea, at least. But even unless you're in nightmare mode or even hard, you can just sort of out DPS them.
At least I still remember the mirror room puzzle. But that would be complete nightmare.
Yeah, the mirror room
even more than Lori is.
One of those, you just have to learn it. Just don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean that's the idea of Consclard, but so here we need to do some side quests inside the final dungeon itself to be able to access the later parts of the final dungeon. And so mainly we need to get the last book of Is and read it. The last two books of Is, actually.
Swap ring and
the ring will go very fast if
Rhea.
you don't have the amulet on. So I have to make sure to take off the ring, then the amulet, not the other way around.
Yeah, it's gotta take real good care of that, because otherwise you are going to be screwed, because if you have the ring on without the amulet, it will insta-kill you.
You have like a bit of time to react, but if you're generally not expecting it when you make the mistake either.
Yeah.
You have like 1 second.
Your health is gone within a second. Alright, now that we have talked to Rhea, which by the way is the girl that we gave the harmonica to up on the bridge in Minea, we now have to backtrack.
Yeah, we backtrack all the way to one of the previous floors because we need to talk to Luda again.
Luda Gamma, yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Wait, not the way. This is the way. For me, somehow the way back through the mirror room is sort of harder than going through it the first time.
The thing is that it's not the same way. You can't.
Yeah, it is not the same way.
You can't do it backwards. That's the thing. Doesn't work.
Yeah. example, sometimes there's just no mirror to where you teleport to. So you can't just go back if you made a mistake. Alright, we're going back to where I hammered the pipe. And go to talk to this young fella here that we met in the cell. He gives us the blue amulets, which we need to actually fight the last boss. Now we gotta go back through the mirror room again.
Yep, so now we're gonna basically make a beeline for the final bosses at the top of the...
If I don't take the wrong mirror. Basically, if you take the wrong mirror at the place where it's two next to each other, you basically just have to take the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna say anything at this point.
Yeah, I think we can just let the music
is
speak for
horrible.
itself.
Yeah.
That's why. It happens to all of us at some point. That's this thing with like pretty much any speedrun, is that once you lose a bit of concentration, it's very hard to compose yourself again.
You just kind of, especially with something where you need a good sense of orientation and, you know, just memory.
Yeah, it's Dark Tower's memory. It took me a while before I actually didn't get lost in it in one of my PBs. It takes a while for sure.
Yeah.
So
Alright, now we can actually progress. Alright, what I want to do now is equip the mirror because in this corridor there's a lot of enemies. And what the mirror does is when I use it, all the enemies get frozen and I can just wait through them. If I didn't do that, I'd get a lot of damage.
So there's one sword that we
Alright.
get here that's going to be an upgrade to the sword we had previously. It's going to be the fire sword. And we're only going to use it for one boss, because the boss after that, Dork Fag, takes more damage from it. Or from the silver
Yeah, the
sword.
boss, from the silver sword. Alright, now we're in another mirror room. Different one this time.
This one's a bit simpler. So Yoga and Omu are probably harder than Dark Factory. Armorless are very difficult because you have to not take any damage from them at all, pretty much. Which requires you to have perfect movement, because their pattern is fixed every time. So if you have perfect movement, you know that you're not gonna get
Come on,
hit.
we save. And I'm pretty bad at this fight because doing this on a pad is a little different than on a keyboard.
Yeah, I like doing it with the analog stick. I couldn't do it otherwise. Basically, you have to avoid the spinning things, whilst at the same time hitting them, which, as you can see, is just very tricky.
Yeah. Alright, doing it now so I don't forget, because I'll screw myself if I actually get into the boss fight. Just equipping the silver sword.
Right, and Cruz, go ahead and get ready, because I think we'll just end and switch over once the credits start. The free set of
Hopefully I'll get the
credits.
quick fail.
Yeah, so basically, the
Only
artifacts
second close to
pattern is
that.
also fixed, so if
Oh.
you run against them,
Oh
you
no?
can exploit hit
Oh,
invulnerability
fast
not
enough.
lasting long.
Alright, split comes up when I read the book and all the text boxes disappear.
Let's just hand off when the credits start, like the fade to white.
Yeah. Just a little bit overestimated. Just a little bit.